Summerboard have recently been getting a lot of traction on social media lately because of the release of their new SBX2 electric skateboard. A really versatile e-skate that has incredibly strong similarities with the structure of snowboarding. Of course, they're not exactly the same, but in what they do manage to replicate is just incredible for anyone who lives in a city and that wants to bring those sensations that they have in the mountain to all of their local spots. But for sure, they can be very difficult as a beginner, so we're going to cover the best advice I can give to anyone looking to get started with a summerboard so that you can massively accelerate the rate at which you learn this board and so that you can start to turn all of your local spots into crazy mountain roller coasters.
So we're back and we're exploring the city with the Summerboard SBX2, a six-wheeled electric skateboard that's meant to ride like a snowboard. And I'm going to show you how to ride it and how I use it to get around the city. Let's go.
Now the Summerboard can be ridden basically anywhere, no matter how steep it is, up or down. Personally, my favourite sorts of spots are cycle lanes. They're just so smooth and completely perfect for practicing. The first thing to focus on as a beginner is to try and hold your edge as lightly as possible. So most of your weight is on the centre wheels and you have a very light touch on either your toe or heel side edge. The more weight you put on, the more it should naturally turn, but it's good at the start to try and put as little weight as possible and to hold each edge for as long as possible. The progression to work on straight after this is to try and have your back knee a little bit more bent than your front leg and to leverage this to basically push the back of the board out, whether on your heel or toe side. With these two simple tricks, you should be able to explore basically any flat road, because when you kick the board out, you can control your speed ever so slightly by putting a bit more pressure on that back foot on those edge wheels. Of course, you're going to want to know how to come to a full stop, either front side or back side, in order to actually stop. But actually, if you know how to kick out your legs like this, it's going to help with basically every trick, even something as simple as coming to a complete stop, because you're basically building rotational momentum with that back leg as it springs out to kick the board to one side or the other, and that can very easily lead into any other kind of rotation. It's a really good thing to work on early on because you'll make serious progress if you do. Talking of things that you should definitely work on early on with the Summerboard, the biggest cheat code for this board is to get good at riding switch as early as possible. Riding switch is bar none the best thing to practice on this board, and that might sound surprising because riding in switch isn't particularly fun and you feel like a total beginner. If you do commit to it early on and you build up your level in switch and regular roughly at the same rate, there will be so many tricks that you will just learn for free because you won't feel scared when you rotate into your least preferred stance. For example here, where I'm doing these frontside 180s, it's incredibly fun to do this, just gliding above the ground. There's just no way you'd be able to do it very smoothly if you weren't comfortable with then riding in switch. It's where I saw by far the most progress when picking up the Summerboard. Yes, at the start it's the least enjoyable thing to practice on this board because it feels so incredibly scary, but I guarantee you that it will pay off very, very quickly if you do. When I'm exploring the city, I like to try and challenge myself to do things which I'm now comfortable doing in regular, but to do them in switch. Yes, I do find it very scary, but it's by far the best thing I've done when learning to ride this board. For example, this is one of my favourite tricks that I've done so far, which is a toe side drift in switch, and there's just no way I would have been able to do this without dedicating a lot of time over quite a few months trying to ride better in switch. It's the secret to riding the Summerboard, it really is. I cannot give any better advice to a beginner, or a rider of any level really, than to try and learn to ride in switch at the same rate that you're learning to ride in regular.
What's great about the Summerboard is there's really something for everyone. Whether you want to go slowly and do tricks, you can do that. You know, all kinds of spin tricks can be done very low speed. But equally, if you want to go faster, you can still do everything going fast, and you've always got the option to slow down. I've just found it really fun to explore the city, especially the flat parts, and kind of find my own little areas to turn into a snow slope. It's really fun. Obviously it's not actually snowboarding, but there's a crazy number of similarities between the two. And if you learn the Summerboard, you'll be able to go snowboarding straight away.
And having been able to practice riding in switch over the summer was particularly useful for when I then went snowboarding. I found riding in switch way, way easier. And because of this, you just get way better value when you're actually on the mountain because you can practice things that you actually want to practice rather than drilling switch, when you could just practice it on all of your local roads with the Summerboard. And also the Summerboard's just fun in and of itself. It's one of the only hobbies that I've got where you can basically go whenever you like, as long as it's not raining, for as long as you like. And once you've actually bought the board, you don't have to pay to do it every single time. Now, if you're looking to learn the Summerboard very quickly, you'll need a way to practice effectively as well. And the best way to practice this is to develop drills where you repeatedly practice a single trick in a session after trying to work out what exactly you need to work on with the Summerboard. For example, when I'm riding around the city, I might see a little gap between like a drain and something else, and I might try and turn into switch and try and do a backside or frontside drift in between that gap. Obviously, because the board is electric, you can then just turn around and go back and do the same thing again,
Once you've practiced it 5 or 6 times, you can go on to something else. Of course, if the trick is more difficult, it might take multiple sessions to practice it, but I've really found that with the Summerboard, I can get so much practice in a way in which I can then really perfect these tricks.
So hone in on something that you can't do and develop a drill in which you can keep practicing it multiple times, do that drill over multiple sessions, and all of a sudden you'll be able to do it really easily. Learning the Summerboard is very difficult, but it's equally fun, and so it's well worth investing the time to try and learn it. And if you follow these steps, you will be sliding around your city in no time.